야, 되네. 하긴 또 tinju 들이 막 로샹들 왔다리 들이. 되네. 다체 정도. 다리 다 저거 제종 다 리빈 내가라. 케바 벤트사 군정. 또바 맨스 셈네로 케바이나 또 저기 말이스. 리빈 내가 티비 벤트사이나. 지스토 저기 아까래 가보여. 예 정도와. 그지 이거고 대노 정도 아니죠. 바바고 송 금천키 쳐봐. 제 정도. وقتها ما له عشان تكسب رأس من دوتي.
So in the text, and it says, even if the Panditas, the great scholars who were well versed in the 5 classes of science, did not realize this. Ananda, though skilled in the 3 baskets, these are the 3 scripture collections, only gained liberation by relying on a great practitioner, the Arya Kashyapa. The
저는 로폰 바바 루조 참스 살아야 최대한 좀 승타 주고 맹아된 노지 처를 잡을 상스 로폰 침보 변迁 나로 변迁지 셔랍 점내나 셔랍 차 초준 차량 뭐 메신 바 셔랍 체를 좀 다 초시스나 커리 하면 오더와 뭐 용장선에 때로 배금迁지 라 셔랍 가바 중이지네 차제 침보 저 오더 톱라 슬라이도 라마로 그래서
And then Arjuna gained liberation in one night by relying. So therefore, all the great Panditas, the great Brahmin Saraha, who bestowed on him the instructions of cutting the grasping at eye nearby a stupa, ordinary wisdom is not even a 16th of the wisdom of Naropa, and even he pleased the great meditator Tilopa through many penances. So Naropa followed the Guru Tilopa, following his instructions by enduring 12 major trials, and as a result, he achieved the city of Mahamudra.
자, 케바 벤트다 침보 남장 내절 구사를 냠용 당도화 진 도회치 진지를 총도 도네 모회치바 저바 샤타 인데 정도 대마로.
So therefore, all the great Panditas also went to the great yogi who was possessed of great experience and realization, and by great devotion attained liberation.
다 세다부 심리 현재 집에 이제 도파시바 치제 남마통 나무 예거다 나무 소남 소사바 셴마토 셴 도바 마인데스 that's malo
And the external condition is to respect with full devotion a sublime teacher. The internal condition is to accumulate merit. And with these 2 conditions, the realization of innate wisdom, the wisdom of mind itself, without these 2 conditions, the inner primordial wisdom will not be realized.
단 지바도르제 신지도나 주 단위나 요사와 현재 주민 현재 지스다 현재 주민 현재 지스다 현재 주바 멤버 랑니 당 지금中国 랑니 당 랑니 현재 지바 현재 지바 세팅 동동 난 대화도 동반 현재 지바 나와 동반 현재 지바 나동 현재 현재 센터를 거셔져 강한테 양다 심 저도 샘플로 스타트했다. 어제 뉴티 강한테 양 미티 강한테 양 미티 테스 라메 튠타 된 바탕 라메 튠타는 다들 라도 정도 지금 정도에 간부노 튠타서도 뭐 튠타서 그 뭐. 나마 초크 뭐 그래서 어떤 돈아 튠테 뭐 그러다 그래서 어tel 랑 소남 자들이 티니 버리시 그래서 정도 xie zong.
And then it is said in the Hevajra Tantra, it is inexpressible by anyone, and it arises innately. So it exists innately within oneself, and it is not found anywhere. It is nowhere abiding. It is within one, but nowhere abiding, and it is realized if one develops the ultimate devotion. And so now this nature which cannot be found anywhere, or which is nowhere abiding. So I'm going to refer to it as this innate, or simultaneously arisen here. I'd say it means innately existing. So this innate nature is also referred to as bliss, empty bliss, empty appearances. There's different ways we describe the nature of the mind. And so that is this innate nature. And so that is realized only by the ultimate relying on a teacher with ultimate devotion, and also through one's own merit. So through these two, one realizes it ultimately.
xie zong shitaji jerwe yong dupa le chisi giwe zawa ma zo ba tesi toni tamba to ma jo so a ji kwa la mo re te.
And in the Abridged Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, it says, as long as all roots of virtue are not complete, perfect emptiness will not be realized. So that's quite similar.
뭐 드는 데다 데라 먹은 집에 라마테 양 세니 당된 바 라마 소다 세니 당된 바 라마 제고레스 라마 제바도 심리 도 봤어. 와다 심리 도 라마 코나나 심리 도 데스. 도바요 라마 셰스 모르치 닌코 제바라 총데스. 와다 모드 닌코 지나 아드레스.
So in order to realize it, one must rely on a teacher toward whom one has this ultimate devotion, and that guru should be qualified, meaning should be someone who has realized the nature of the mind. And so through devotion and respect to such a guru, realization of this primordial wisdom will arise.
Mitankolo dem cho le ju le se no khang chin je de chen ni gi jin la charo ko la ma ran chen do je je ga pe la du sta sim ni ne lo bi jin cha so ya de na ma na do je chang di cha du song sa ba.
There's a quote from the Chakasambhara Tantra. Through the kindness of the teacher, I have realized this great bliss instantaneously, or directly. I've directly realized great bliss. I prostrate, I bow down at the feet of the Vajra holder, the jewel-like teacher. The realization will be generated by devotion to such a teacher from the depth of your heart, in the manner of whatever I know is the kindness of the teacher. So meaning that when you recognize the kindness of the teacher from the bottom of your heart, devotion arises for that teacher, and from that realization arises. And this kind of devotion is to see that teacher as the actual Buddha who possesses the 5 wisdoms and is the nature of the 3 kayas. If you see the guru as an ordinary person, then you can only see him as ordinary, and you cannot develop great qualities that of the qualities of a Buddha. If you see the Guru as a Buddha, if you see the Guru as a Nirmanakaya, then
Lama soso je wo je na.
di parto dove?
Yon tia kang je me zi, lama changcho simpan tong yang simchi zame je me zi, zi song na ji mo si la zi wa zi zong. Zi wo zi zong.
Ja, das kommt, das die Jige, die noch nicht
Lama sanji rang tu zhuwe gun tong na, zhuwa la pinpan zhuwa, si long kul tong na rang sanbe tong zhuwa. Ta mo hun tor tok shuk, sanji mo si di na, me je xie, chu xie, cui tu chi be de, simi to ba yin de, je de, si ta ra xi na.
Yeah, so that English translation has something missing. So if you see the guru as an ordinary person, then no other qualities than that will arise. If you see the guru as a bodhisattva, then you will see him as someone who is there to help sentient beings. A bodhisattva being like an emanation body, and Nirmanakaya appearing to help beings. If you see the guru as a Bhogakaya, that fulfills your intention. If you see the guru with ultimate devotion as the Dharmakaya, then through that ultimate devotion of which arises due to knowing his real kindness, ultimate realization, ultimate qualities will be generated.
Tene chamsi chimbo sara he song re sita. Lame long la dem de jam de kumbi na sita. Lame long la lame song xiao sira de na. Be song chi kumbi chi na han je je ban jong wa te song mi. Se wo de sim ye han je je ba do ba de. Te song go ma re song do wa.
And then the great Brahmin Saraha had said, if you make an effort in this devotion to the Guru, then there is no doubt that the realization of innate wisdom will arise.
Tene yang tene le sita tene be cha ti na sa wa. Do ne je mi rang ji de. Do ne ta je wa mi ba sen dong ba ne. Be je wa mi se dong ba ne je rang ji de se. Yin ba se tren ban de la me de do se wa de tren ban de le me se ne ro te so so. Den ne so so do song si na ta. Te sa ti ya na chi lam sang do to ya ti ska le ko ba.
And it says in the same text, naturally unborn from the beginning. So speaking about the mind, and unborn here means empty. So unborn or empty from the beginning. Today I've realized it. I've realized this mind shown to me by the glorious Guru. So the Guru showed it to me. I realized it. But then it's also not as simple as that. So it also, not just he shows it and you realize it, but you also have to do some practice.
但多把这样的了，接触了人七八趟，人把人七八趟，这家是你有的是，我听有的那唐伯这家间的，现在康萨他安伯，这把俺们平起，让我把东西把送完的，现在这那边先头把趟，先从七嘛他的东西多把些的，这俺们讲把那个把人是人气进行把西头是帮忙出来些个人是。 我在这家是那个我做工钱呢，我从嘛人去买这家做有嘛的是做么的，开始是呢，这家这样的这帮人嘛错嘛不是啊，他讲的，开来的去的这是，别想着咱的南上线了，这当别想大在讲的那土罗嘛不是，大是了土罗这个在炸那个用呢，这人是判这个面这没收钱不这家的人是就配头别是，没收熊熊这个。 जब हमने खले पांडव के बेहतर ना जी में आज़ लामसां पे दूसरा चुरान दिमाग पे दो या था जो यो मारे और समाजन चेरे ज़ुंकर है वा से जिक्चा ते जेवा में सो मा बोसा चलते हैं से तो पंजो चेसो या ते जेदु टेम्पो या और tendencies.
And there are two ways of generating this realization, or two ways of realizing. There's the gradual realization and the instantaneous realization. The instantaneous realization of the nature of mind is the way of those with superior mental capacities and those who have practiced a great deal in previous lives. And in this life, when they merely hear the name of their teacher or see his face or merely listen to his teachings, they may realize the meaning of emptiness. Then the gradual way of realizing is for those who rely on a gradual training. This was taught by Lord Pamudrupa. And then, however, in the Gongchik, it also says that everyone is a gradual realizer and there are no instantaneous realizers. And that is because those we call instantaneous realizers do not just randomly realize something, but it's because they are gradual realizers, but they have already gradually practiced in previous lives. So in previous lives, they have already accumulated a lot of merit and they have practiced, and therefore now, upon being introduced, they can quickly understand. And then that realization remains with stability. But because they already have trained, and because they are also trained, they are also gradual realizers. For example, it is like you're punching holes through kind of a pile of of kind of clothes, of rags, fabric. If somebody is very strong and he just like punches through those these sheets of fabric all at once. But if somebody is not that strong, they will punch like sheet by sheet and not all at once. But it's still the same. They still have to punch through each and every sheet. So it's not just one sheet. And so those that we call instantaneous realizers, they have already trained before. So they are actually also gradual realizers.
저는 내절 막 그렇게 쭉 주세 다듬 줘주 이제 강원요 시작다 제 차트라고 강원요 시작다 남해렘지 된 바람해렘지 제와 동차 망보다 제와 동차 망보다 맞서 소사를 좀 주로 나의 이些规矩呢这一些规呢特别양다 지바탕 내절 바이 주인데 더 냠냠 소나 소소 주 내요레스 지답쇼서
이티 나는 소나다 이티 갈래 양가 소나
다들 강한 요트 시제스 그 다지차 받은 저 시행야 제 여러我的시행야 제 니마다 남의 그램 지대네 근데 제가 망보세 다做啥的제가 동차是啥多동차就是제가 치와 동차 라多제가 망보세 做啥呢내가一些规矩它一些是个娘起我是起率特别养大几把起特把几我是起特把养他把几这起率我这次什么他说那不啥去了今天就提就有那有类似说的人就我记特别提类似
oh,
写松哎
yeah. Okay. So to this section, some reason I don't see it here, but in another text, it says that regarding those that we refer to as instantaneous realizers, they have actually also relied on a guru gradually, and then for many lifetimes, for thousands of lifetimes, have accumulated merit, and now as a result of that, when they practice, they cultivate an ultimate, a true devotion. And then through the power of that and their merit, they will quickly realize the innate wisdom.
我真的他人气版呢是他人气版呢那么了模糊气息人气说那么说啥是说那么说啥说那么说啥被我错呀这多块看中上基本多块这些个的是的一种也泡沫出来性啊模糊脱给这吧他模糊点去看啥去模糊出钱不呢模糊点去看啥送说送多
So a person of a gradual, who gradually realizes that they first realize their nature on a surface level through a gradually progressing devotion and respect to the guru and through gradually accumulating merit. And Lord Pamudrupa said that, and one who instantaneously realizes through an ultimate devotion and respect to the guru in a more direct manner.
这样是样，这样这看一些那让先见面多吧的，多吧的空白期过的，空心面那的我们国家通嘛咯。我做这他空心面的这有通那先面要不那嘛头，你们那是要不起嘛头，他呢这起嘛头的他呢，好这样子，针对这些大嘛当的起，他呢公家头学嘛的。在这空气要不我那光头要不那头的，这刚开始他们了跑公家头呀，听个有话在空白来穷别种的话，我甚至先把啥啦还现在是大把节的，大把年节的空白来穷，我那大把节的别想那大把的年节的压力，那空白来穷个来是谁玩去吧，什么谁玩去吧，他在啥他们把这parse lo ya de nyema nyema da da ve ko ndo de ju si nyema da ve de ya de compare da ya ta no tin du sa ro pe te cha sa ro mare pe ta samu te mare ba si na te nyema da ve wo ndo te sa du de so ya.
And whatever it may be, anyone needs to habituate the unborn to seeing the unborn mind. So it is just that as beginning practitioners now, for us it's just harder to sustain that state because we do not have that habituation. We can just really meditate for a short while, and then again we are unable to sustain it. We can't sustain the practice, mainly also because we do not have enough diligence or perseverance in a practice, but we can habituate to it. And if you habituate to it, you really familiarize yourself with it, then eventually you will be able to sustain that state with ease. It will be no longer difficult. But the point is that is habituation. Practice is to habituate. And then the great Brahmin Saraha says that arising from meditation is like the full moon. Practice it like the sun and moon illuminating the dark earth. So this sustaining of the natural state leads to an increasing seeing, and this increasing seeing of your true nature is like the rising of sun and moon, gradually illuminating the darkness or the ignorance in your mind.
他听就是老公大把茶杯先让那种，大把茶杯买的这样的，就我这里是拿到的，公法龙通是叫啥啦？就公法龙通嘛，你有最多也就小算，是讲我买一趟，知道吧？就公法龙通呢，就公法龙通是挺难多是的，大把茶杯送人啥嘛吧？我挺难多是这个感觉现在不，这个感觉现在不呢，就小谁呢？都大许多。我但昨年那么大些钱吧，头把钱不养大学生，这个时间他就年他那把啥吧，那头把钱不养他把学了，头把钱不生，但人说对吧？一片你不，这些人不生钱都可以用了钱子了不啦？那这些人不这个钱不生钱用钱的，这里也是，南开张西，这里那就是把一三天，南开张西，我们家的那的，那就是把一三天一种多。
It says then here, Chandrakirti says, then there's a footnote in the Tibetan, it's actually not Chandrakirti, but it comes from a tantra that is like the cultivation or meditation tantra. And so that's in the Derge print of the teachings in the volume 81. And so in that text it says, within the pure essence of living beings resides the Buddha. From within that space-like nature, a yogi practices concentration. And so it is also said elsewhere that Buddha nature pervades all sentient beings, and a yogi habituates to the space-like Buddha nature.
다 심리 통도 바르시발라 마초 공바르샤스 다 심 통도야 심 마초 와타 공보레스 마초 바 공센다 마잉 바시고 마잉 바 다테시 바티가 나나 치고레스 어때 마초 바 공 다테시 바 로폰 독세베스 다 로폰 독세스 자가제리노 타메시 바 녀기브네시 타메시 시바스나 다 다테시 바드리 나도 주네엑스다 제 셈제로 살아리 데바트 말에 마음바 다다는 좀 그러면 들어 다테시가 냠냐치는 타메시 파스 녀기브네 시세나데 말에 바트 바 녀기브네 소시 우메 타메시 바 녀기브네 시 서로 달라 데바 주메시스 어때는 다 셈비 냠냐티가 내디나 서로 달라 데바 주메시스 서로 세나다 make you so that 남피 나베 다 드라네 대요와 나 칠라서 저소요라 와다 저소 서로 다네 대화 중인데 서로 나 짐바스 파타네 대대 다 손비단 짐바민 tin 짐바들 때는 가서 대도 성마서 총교래 근데 대 짐바들 파타나 되네 대화 중이지 서대 냠냠가 내도랬어 어디 중이지 제바 담치 동미 동아리요 어디 제바 담치 동미 동아리요잖아 내마다 손직 넘버 뭐 저치로 어디 손다 미바트 동아시죠 로스 대장라선 나나之前 매지안라 소바다 뭐보지 여러와 어디서 동미 동아리요레스 곰트미베 뉴메나나 쇼스 다 곰트미베 뉴메나나 쇼스나 다 곰제데 믹스에제 곰시오제 제도 그 말. 샘트 내로티 뉴마선 다대시 파티kan. 냠네 소스 마잉바 그래. 마잉바 오늘 때문에 냠네 치투 그래. 예의송 치투 그 말에 대가 나는 쇼좀 살이.
And then another master, Acharya Kutalapada, had said that awaken the ordinary consciousness in the middle of the heart. Also, first it says that realization of the meaning of mind itself should be meditated on as uncontrived, so that what you when you see the ultimate nature, it has to be habituated as uncontrived. And as uncontrived means without distraction, so without altering it with thoughts. So undistracted, you sustain that state that you have seen, and that's how you habituate. And so the next, that's a quote, awaken the ordinary consciousness. So the ordinary consciousness here is the ordinary mind, our day-to-day normal mind that we always have. Right now, your awareness. And that ordinary consciousness, you let it be as it is that mind that, not the mind from the past, not the mind from the future, your mind right now. That's just this ordinary consciousness. Awaken it in the middle of the heart means awaken it from ignorance. And then so then when you abide uninterruptedly within that ordinary consciousness, the six sense collections will become pure. Meaning that, so the six sense collections is, for example, you see things with your eyes, you hear things with your ears, you smell things with your nose, and so on. And normally we grasp at these various sense perceptions. And because we grasp at them, we cling to them, we experience happiness and suffering. So by abiding uninterruptedly in your ordinary consciousness, the grasping of these six sense consciousnesses becomes purified. And when that becomes purified, and you will abide in a state of continuous bliss, continuous happiness here. And then all that is done is meaninglessly the cause of suffering. So all that is done refers to things that we do with a dualistic mind of subject and object, and many thoughts that arise from that. For example, as we and enjoy a pleasant, good taste of food or something. We smell something nice and so on. All of that is the meaningless cause of suffering. And keep the mind on in a primordial state, in the absence of meditation, meaning that without activities and without doing anything, it's the absence of meditation, effortlessly, you rest within a non-dual state. There is no subject and object. So this primordial state, it mainly is the natural state of the mind, the consciousness right now, this kind of moment, this fresh moment now. Keep the mind means sustain that state without distraction. It's just when you're distracted, you're not really practicing.
那送呀，那这先蛮英文去过，这就脑中多啊。 就那拍送Samsung都把那 Samsung 都把那呢 Samsung 都把那呢全当学习，全把当学习你的全当学习它，全把当学习它做了哈，中啊这做了哈，那他中国的是，我等于去多年中的就是学了，我大这个天毛教，是我的等于去了是什么？天毛教么做完的是不是？
In the Bodhicharya Vatara, Shantideva also said, I join my palms in prayer to one who can abide with mindfulness, with sustained mindfulness of their innate nature, and who guard this mindfulness even at the cost of their life.
这些总是呢，当几把都这类是看到一节，没光吧，这话他们去光吧的，他们去求那用些呢，光吧你呢，光吧没是我但看到一节没光，但是说不起不当的忙不在工作要是有嘛的是，所以我的那路但是在蛮英吧去呢，马球吧挺好的，但你们俩去过，像马球吧那桥在全部认识，我听看到了，他们俩去过，这话他们去光吧去，我这马球吧光呢，但这话他们去光的那种的是。 어때 참치 초네 참 대체는 초 내로 참치 용시해 보그래스 어때 저 조마만 보제 기타 공자 쇼세도 삼다 동반이 저 공부를 하는 거라서 사실 어 동반이 제 공야 스스로는 공부 양 타바 말이스 동반이 공 세두티 로스타 삼마 동반이 이 삼데는 티 동반이 양 타베 공부 말이 그래서나 동반이 로 강지 바제 차로 그러 어다 저거 세마 초베 냠내나 마인 바치 봐
And then it says in the Hevajra Tantra, that which is not to be meditated upon by mind should be meditated on by all beings. And so, meaning that so that which is not to be meditated upon means that there's nothing that is actually done when you meditate. So there is no fabrication. There shouldn't be any fabrication, anything that kind of something that you meditate on, like, you're not proliferating thoughts. You just sustain a state without distraction, without altering that natural state. And that is called Mahamudra. And so that is what all beings should habituate to. Then having completely known all dharmas, meditation itself is non-meditation. And so having understood the nature of all phenomena, meditation is a state of non-meditation. So when you know the nature of all things, you sustain awareness of it. So that is said because sometimes people have this concept of practicing emptiness. So they think, I'm practicing emptiness, I'm meditating on emptiness. All things are empty. And that itself is a concept that's thinking everything is empty. And because it is a concept, it is not a true practice of emptiness. You're not truly meditating in a state of emptiness because there's a grasping. So real meditation is therefore non-meditation. You're not meditating on anything. You're not developing any thoughts, and you simply sustain that state without distraction.
저는 참배 시에는 드다 랑시 매 봐서 어떤 데다는 샘 랑시 매 봐. 매 있으면 다 맞춰 봐. 티가는 용수 좀 하시 봐. 용수 사람도 용수 장로 그래스 기발차 정도.
And then Maitreya had said that all these are inherently that are unobserved. So they are not material observable things. Like the practice is something that's ungraspable. And therefore know this as the complete purification. So realizing this is complete, no, it's like the Jongwa di Kapla Kareri. Also Jongwa.
종야도 살람. 그래서
Yeah, so yeah, it's not a yeah, it's not a purification here. It means some training. So this is the like the kind of the reaching the furthest limits of training of the bhumis and the paths.
저는 잠시 심보 살아가 계네스. 랑지 타베 샘나 something 타 밀리스. 랑지 타베 샘들라 something 밀리스 and something 좀 쇼주 좀 말았다. 곰자 쇼세네. 동반이 고면 안다고 다 텐데 치는 되게 말레스. 지수면라레 가르송어서나 저송도 이렇게 찬송 세링지 이렇게 찬송 세링 뭐지 요사로 토르제릭과 자원지스 토르제릭과서 넘버를 지금 자나 지쇼사라다 토르제릭과 자원지스 님주 체미 곰스도 님주 쳔바미바 땡게지 님바를 저거 쳔바미바 되게 곰도 그래스 어때 곰이야 타바 말레스 저당가서 남조선 가고 가토고 말이다 또 앞에 가래 하고 데리다 셈 마초베 라마 켄나나 냠나 치통 제 약효래 어ත네 something 마티 바스 당니 데라네 켄 동원 마지 어때 당니 팀 냠나 치건 네디 셴바제 좀 방고 동원 마지 있으네 배송치로 뭐 말이 수종 그 사례
And then next it says, so the great Brahmin Saraham had said, the natural luminous mind is not contaminated by concentration, meaning that's what we just mentioned, a concentration or a meditation upon something. For example, that thought of I'm practicing emptiness, I'm meditating on emptiness. Once you think that, it's not authentic practice. Therefore, one should simply abide in bliss and not be tortured. Meaning, one should not exert oneself so effortlessly, abide effortlessly in a state of bliss. And Milarepa had said that. And so there are those rishis who practice meditation, and who and to whom so they practice basically a state of total concentration, and to this state of concentration, every rising thought is seen as an enemy. So they see all thoughts as enemies, wanting to rid themselves of thoughts, and such a kind of pursuance of a kind of a thoughtlessness, kind of striving for a state of no thought and rejecting all thought, is not ultimate authentic meditation, Milarepa said. And so now it's actually true, because we always have thoughts in our mind. We can't actually block them out. It'll be very difficult. It's not about blocking out thoughts or having no thoughts. Is about sustaining a state of awareness without altering it, just letting it be as it is, whatever it is, and then sustaining awareness of that continuously and habituating to that, it becomes effortless. So then the ultimate instruction is sustain this state effortlessly.
대다로 콤베 나셈이 있음제 셴인지 기랑사 타데스 어다 tendu kon so ne nansem ni de do ge se ni zi ran sa te ta na wa te ga le kha bo re ala so be chang da sa me so ye tong na so da ni ma bo zen tong ge wa da zen tong ma de xiu wo cha ti ga control sa wo ta tendu yo re is wo te ne na be da du jia zai ko na ge mo je ge jia du jia zai lam so 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 ma to ha ga ni zai tendu yo wa ga la so 어쨌든 이제는 어쨌든 진짜 나샘니스인데스 나샘니스인데스한테 대여서 말아 손직 남토테 다니한테 데로베 나로바 노메면 제 현배체 현바 조현 나로바세요 현바 조현 나로바스 어저 너무 그렇게 노그 말했어 나도 디간 짐바 효소인데 어쨌든 짐바 되게 다 노지 그래서 다니한테 지야제 요라데 我那边没见先把钱先别出现那罗吧，那边建图嘛，建是当别个下了吧，当图嘛，先把这个建筑说的是，这先把的话就我的种的话，就是没来的皮克松老师呢，去哪嘛去的哪了，这是去哪嘛去的哪了的，马多听人出哪意思，尤其先把钱玩的，尤其先别钱玩的，尤其是了先把钱呢，真的这个钱都别的意思，爸爸哪了缺可哪是，爸爸哪么的缺可哪的意思。 나와서랑 힘으로 오셔서 유난샘지 초스 샤라스 유난샘지 초스 샤라스 어쨌든 나선이 이제 제소나 되네 타타신 동 요새에 나도 되네 소마데 이제 장히마로 와 또 오셔서
And it says, through familiarizing oneself with the mind, appearances and mind become one, and all dualistic grasping is purified on its own. So when you habituate to this delineation between appearances and yourself, your mind, disappears. So appearances and mind become one. For example, now there's kind of a wall between us and appearances. So we see a form, we hear a sound, for example, and sometimes a sound, for example, makes us feel unhappy, maybe somebody says something to us and that makes us really angry. And often when we hear what they say, it makes us so angry that we can almost not bear it. It's really, really torturing our minds. But then once your mind has merged with appearances, there is no more perception of subject and object, someone else doing something. Tilopa said to Naropa, it's not the appearances that tie you down, it's your grasping at them that ties you down. Therefore, Naropa, do not grasp at appearances. So the outer appearances themselves do not harm you in any way. They don't tie you down. But if you grasp at them, if you cling at them a certain way, then that is what ties you down. That's what will harm you. On Milarepa had said, when outer appearances arise, when they manifest, when you perceive outer appearances, from a non-realized perspective to a non-realized mind, these are called confused appearances, confused perceptions. And that is because the mind is tied down by fixating on the outer object, labeling it a certain way. We interpret what we see, and that is what ties us down. Then Milarepa said, however, when appearances manifest to a realized mind, they appear as the Dharmakaya. They are seen as Dharmakaya, meaning that they are seen as lacking any inherent existence. So this is then how apparent phenomena, the apparent phenomenal world can manifest as or can become a support to one's practice, an enhancement to one's practice. That is, if one practices to realize that they all do not inherently exist. So
then terms symbol Sarah has terms Sarah has do it on Jap on charges, do you know it, Jar in it, then you walk last what I charge you. Or charge was Canton Yang taking or Canton other. Don't buy it, I think my daughter was a little pondo, stuff on little balls, or what a dog with those. Terrain gombo on two achi, so terrain da gombo Sanji Jim de Sanji Lapionda, is that it? On two achi, Sarah, and two at cheese on stuff. Or then it's also that on two achi, so the Sanji was paid, Chedo Yamado, same little start doors, the same put out shoes or what.
And another quote by the Brahmin Saraha. So Saraha had said, whatever I see in any direction, in the back, in the front, in all the 10 directions, everything is suchness. I just see that the true nature of whatever appears. And today, I have cut through all delusion in the presence of the Buddha. Now I have no more question left for anyone. So he speaks about his own realization of now having eliminated all delusion and having seen the nature of mind.
Oh, he is the Shina, the Chabram Chukuba, two ices, Sharpsida, Chabram te, Toda Jibare, Chabram Sena, Chabram then Dangazo, Nero Mato, the Chabram Chara, Chapano, Chabram Sena, or Chapano, so Chushus, Chujipa Chano, or then two ices Charis, or then your more, it's so told a shing asha, so then your more, so what a tone I wrote a shing asha is. 이시가다 가르스나 셰단 메롱 셰다 아자냠니 이시 노차 소토 이시 다다 창도 제로 이시 데모 추행 이시 와다지 이시가 티셔게 다 이시가 티셔리 아데 가르스나 녀모스소다 마지막으로 또 손들테네 고라 녀모 세든 초비는 나한테 이시가 아직 인정 그셔라고 대신에 똑같이 차라리라 차라 진이 좀 어떻게 이些지라래 그래서 똑같이 충충을 호랑호랑 남도들 라지마로 그래서 손들네 이些제 용들에 손주서
And then it says, realizing this, the delusion arises as wisdom, like ice melting into water. So the unrealized mind is like ice, and when it melts, all the water is the same, becomes one with water. And so then it says, moreover, the poisons of the 5 mental afflictions become the 5 wisdoms. And first that, yeah. So what does it mean? The 5 afflictions become the 5 wisdoms. That is when one realizes what those so-called 5 poisons actually are. They are seen as 5 wisdoms. Then anger becomes the mirror-like wisdom. Pride, the wisdom of equanimity. Attachment, the individually discriminating wisdom. Jealousy, the all-accomplishing wisdom. Ignorance, the Dharma Dhatu wisdom. So, like, how do they become those 5 wisdoms? So that is when the afflictions arise and you see their true nature. What you see is that they don't inherently exist. So they actually are not the afflictions that you thought they are. So they do not exist inherently as an affliction. So what you actually see instead is a quality of primordial wisdom. So the 5 primordial wisdoms. And then even subtle and gross conceptual thought is generated into this particular wisdom. So what that means is that so first there's those 5 major afflictions which is more the coarse, the gross, and then after that, even the subtle thoughts that you don't classify, categorize, every small thought that arises, you also realize that as not having true existence. And then any mental arising arises as wisdom.
then lokum brava based on the Senado that them cho Jusha Sena Sara, them cho Jusha Jepa. What in I Sarva? Then Namto is sharing archers, Namto, number to party sharing archer is started in the Jibar says on the way.
Then
She could reason for Yamnachin that the Jibar says, then my England Yamnachin, the Namto to the aunt, my show about Chine. Namto him at what they son of the children for that and Jibar chas.
And then there's Master Virupa, and that quote comes from the long daily practice of Chakasamvara. And he says that conceptual thought is transformed into the 5 wisdoms. Always rely on it and practice it. So that is, once you have recognized that the emotions are wisdom, the afflictive emotions are wisdom, then always habituate to that and be without distraction. Do not allow your mind to again become controlled by thoughts. Then every mental arising becomes wisdom.
Then Jew Lamales, Ambongat, Nanjorna, Onkunjo, Kunji, Yontan Jatra, Jumi, Nanjor by Tobajas, Ambonga, then Nanjorne, but that's something Ton joke to be out, Chavagun Chi to be out. Then the Yontan to Jatra Jumi, Santonam, Yontan Jatra Jumi says a young Lapura.
Tonglam.
On Tonam Gana, Yontan Jatra Jumi says a Shumaza Love Marai. What is the Yontan Jatra Jumi, Yontan Tasso, young race? What in nature by Toban Joros on the one. But the Julama Karina, Julama also needed and somebody, Chamba go Julama Jayote. Allen Dode Jana is a lawyer in not he, or Dode Jana, those are the Julama Ticoma.
Vilama Maria.
On Dode Jan teach loyal, Julama not a storm. Dode Jan.
And then there's another quote here, and that is, so it says here, it's from Uttara Tantra, but not Drupan just said, so also in the Tibetan footnote, it's actually not from the Uttara Tantra, but it's from the Mahayana Sutra Lankara, which is the ornament of sutras. And so in there is that quote, and it says, all 5 sense faculties transform. Also not into other, it says, so the 5 sense faculties transform, and then and then the Gunla Chava Cheba sorry. Döngun Chukpa Döngun Che.
Ambonga, Natures, Ambonga, Hinga, Najo, Tonkujo, the Santank Tonkunjo took it is. Chi took it is. The Yonan Jatra Jumi, so the Yamnat Chim, which younger is. The Najo Tambat to this, out of yours.
Yeah, so when the 5 sense faculties have transformed into the 5 wisdoms, then every action one engages in is for the sake of all, meaning all sentient beings. And that being the case, 1200 qualities arise. So it is said that when one reaches the path of seeing, on that level, 1200 qualities arise. And so then, from such conduct, then 1200 qualities will arise, and the perfect yoga will be achieved. So the practice will be accomplished.
Then Dorian Kando course setting, Dorian Kando Kando Mark course setting, Ambo Kantan Kankalam, Tete Rangi Chelandos, Ambo Sena, the Ambonga, Yishinga Lasso, Jona, the Khan Lamina, now Tete Rangi Chin Drogeris, what Yamnati Nando, the Pemba George, Pemba Pensim, Chanjo Sana for Jibe Jorba, yes, Sanjay Kunji, Rangi, Sanjay Kunji, Rangi, such as that I was.
And then the Vajradakini Tantra says that whatever the senses at the very past. So when the five consciousnesses, the five sense powers are transformed, everything becomes the path on its own. Everything, all activity naturally becomes beneficial because this activity has become the nature of all the Buddhas.
我这养老红不是话被写是那多的dem cho ju sha je pa se ti na re sin do dem cho ju sha je pa se ti na sa som tar chin som cha som ne jo se sa som se na da ten sa re sa som se ta be sa som yo ba wo ti sa som tar chin to som cha som ne jo se na da te pe je ten sa re kam som sa go se ze sha lo wo ti sa go wo ti som cha som da sin na te pa ne jo se
Kamsum Sago.
comes on the Sagwe Shafio. It does don't come to Sajik does so come session of the so we come session of the Chaya social society. This comes from Sagos, what the partner Jonathan, Jonathan, near Jodita, Yamnega, so Tarchina. The Sheji Chova, Sheji and Namshi 4G, say, or Namshi 4G, what the Shinga cho this. 我的一些啊，说呢，学英语一些秋季英语堂也一些的秋季英语学英语东半年的也没吧，这是这点就比强就明白，操吧学这种是吧？
Hindi natin. Inchiti Kensao, that's already again. So then, so there's another quote that also comes from the extensive daily practice of Chakasambhara, and it's also by Viruba. And it says that when there's the three planes are perfected, so the three planes here refers to the desire realm, form realm, and the formless realm, perfected as in when they are transcended, when one transcends those three planes, they transform. Those three planes transform, and into imperfection. And then there are the eight consciousnesses. There's apparently eight consciousnesses. They transform into the five wisdoms. And wisdom merges indivisibly with the space expanse of Dharma Dhatu, and one attains the hard essence of enlightenment, the Dharmakaya. So that's the quote here. I don't know where that is in the English text.
Oh, that's it. Two is Sharvatu, two is Sharvatu. Bechashana, Chutam, Ninda Sunya Sharvanaji. Chutamo, the non in the Nimando, Sunya Shahu, or the Naji Top Magic, Top Jew, Sanjik Top Jew, Magic Bashela Soba, Sanji Yontan Sanji, Luch Troba Shamus, Beton Gomaris. 我当时说上节中上节用电就是当下上节用电是超过上别种人嘛，他让一起像北把美吧，相当水去了，我但别种美国的相当生产中了，相当水去了这个这是军器没把让修肯用的，是我的军器没把让修可生产偏做样子，那就不这是。
And then, sorry, so then that is when delusion appears as wisdom, which is like the reflection of the sun and moon in clear water. Then the qualities of Buddha, such as the 10 powers or 4 kinds of fearlessness, all the qualities of a Buddha will then arise spontaneously. And such a Buddha will then benefit sentient beings effortlessly. So a Buddha doesn't have a concept, thinking I need this quality, or need to do that. But it happens spontaneously, it happens naturally as a quality of being a Buddha. So then the benefit of sentient beings will be accomplished continuously and spontaneously.
他就去长子前部萨拉海先人，对吧？前部南面宁部南的这个南的前吧，东的这个那是，他对吧？前部张阿的，那你们俩去的这个南的前的东的是，这个是东的和这个他那的有的是。
And then the great Brahman Saraha said, the path of the unsurpassed secret mantra Vajrayana is the path where the result is taken as the path. The result becomes the path. And that's because the result or the fruition is already present within one from the beginning.
那杨天你的杨天那是些把杨天10年我呢，他把那天天没瞧，他先看我的吧，他说那的天天吃嘛没恐怕上节恐怕脱不了的是，什么上节人他那个选把什么上节人那种，先那路多少上节人，他就是那种就是的。
And then also it says at the same text, when the mind becomes completely purified, one attains the state of perfect purity, which is the state of enlightenment. Or as you mentioned before, then one realizes that the Buddha is within. The Buddha is revealed within yourself.
他的有的人间没错，现在人间没错的嘛，人间没错有才挺多，人间没错还是人间等的多呢，这是当然有，这那人间没错了，我但有的这多人间没错是，然后没错是没错是挺多，他哪说才人间没错，先偏这边这些人间没错，先别想想那咱俺说行动看不动不就有呢，看不动不就有呢，看不动不在那没错这个是。这里呢，只有穷个的是，我别成长我的是，所以你这就农科的做可能不听那把听，你说成长我的是，每你瞧的现在偏把这呢，每这先偏先当普通做吧，但上级是几每的是普通做，上级下这的是东部，特别没错件些吧的，东部这那他没错件吧的，让多半没把修一的用的是多没修了，那什么叫从偏错的就是了。这人家那说他妈的，人家是不让修死了，那把那说这样的人是这秋裤那不晓得，秋裤呢那这手工艺技特别，我这多方面不让修这中国的是，我这一对真的推起照本就，也是推起照本就是呢，没从那个没从那个，那在原天的推起照本真恰当的是，我这里来是弄个啥的吧。
And so then next section here is not in the English here, I think. So it says,
这多少种哪里都啥还是弄啥的。
and oh yeah, and it was also said by Saraha. So I don't think it's here now. Yeah, it's not in the English text. So so there was, I guess, there was a spelling mistake in the Tibetan. So literally it says except for compassion, but actually, so it's madok means except for, but actually it's supposed to be medok, not madok, and medok means flower. So it's the flower of compassion, not except for compassion. So anyways, not in the English. So the flower of compassion, from the flower of compassion grows the fruit of benefiting others. So for example, if you're growing like a fruit, like a peach tree, and then you have a trunk, and then slowly the leaves grow, and then the flowers grow, and then from the flowers comes the fruit. So that is like the fruit is then the two Rupakaya, the Nirmana and Sambhogakaya, and those that actually then go out and benefit sentient beings. And then in the text it says,
没你瞧的钱了，偏把我死的吧？
没的，
没这上街的是没，
So it's given that name, the perfect Buddha that accomplishes the benefit of others. And so meaning that arising from the state of emptiness, having realized emptiness, that is from the state of the Dharmakaya, then the two Rupakaya, Sambhoga and Nirmanakaya, arise naturally, and then they go and benefit beings, but effortlessly, unobstructedly and effortlessly. So from that state of emptiness arise manifold appearances of compassion naturally and spontaneously. And then again, the word is not here now, but and then again, Saraha had said that, and there is no other bliss than that state. And once realized, whatever one wishes to accomplish is accomplished naturally. And so what they wish to accomplish is the benefit of beings. This mind is like, this mind of bodhicitta is like a wish-fulfilling jewel. It is said if you supplicate a wish-fulfilling jewel, all of your wishes are granted. And so similarly, bodhicitta then enables them to effortlessly accomplish the benefit of sentient beings, just like a wish-fulfilling jewel. Now I think we're back to our text. So then, regarding concerning the delusion appearing as wisdom, the Kadampa masters have said that by practicing the selflessness of two selves, that is the selflessness of person and the selflessness of phenomenon, delusion will arise as wisdom. And then the precious Lama, that is Palmodrupa, he said that when you realize your mind as unborn, you will turn away from grasping at things. So when you realize that mind is empty and unborn, there's nothing more to grasp at. And in this way, you become inseparable from then delusion, meaning then you do not see appearances as separate from yourself. The delusion itself arises as primordial awareness. So there is no so to say delusion that you can grasp at, but the delusion itself has become primordial wisdom. So therefore, it is said that the delusion itself arises as wisdom. And therefore, it is said that in order to cause delusion to arise as wisdom, you must meditate on all phenomena as empty. And in this way, you will turn your mind from all grasping at phenomena.
근데 단 너를 두이 초이 난 대한지 강사제라 상제바를 치발라스 나도 상제 톱고 쇼래 상제 톱이야 치발라다 네 초는 거래스 저당 알아서도 이 다반 통보라 이 되지고 그 상제 톱이야 이 스카레 하고 근데 나도 람란 바신데 로고야 개치 못 차디어서 어때는 상황 치발 로 초스로 와시 그래스 담보로 초스로 그래 초스 로 초스로 로 초스 마성은 초치 그 말와 워로 초 람 들어와 더 초 람 들어와 그래서 가상 대량이 가서 초스로 왔어 제와 가지 나로 초스로 왔어 라베 자 초스로 왔어 초 집안이나 초스로 거죠 어때 초람 들어와 그래서 어때 람 들어와시와 투아이 신처와 어떤 투아이 신처와 내리 기본에다 대한지 강사제는 상지야 치발라 람 마노르바 쉐이바 참여했을 야고스 publish.
And then it says in brief, in order for one to become enlightened, the mind must turn towards the Dharma, or also we say that the Dharma has to become the Dharma. And so now we have mentioned a path up until the dispelling of delusion, and that delusion arising is wisdom. And so if we just look at these kind of higher advanced levels of practice, then just focus on that, it will be difficult to achieve enlightenment. It's very important to actually follow the right order of the path and to start with the mind turning toward the Dharma, or actually for the Dharma to become the Dharma, because if it doesn't, then you won't even practice the Dharma. And once your mind is turned toward Dharma, that Dharma has to become the path. And so that's what we mentioned yesterday. So it says literally for the Dharma to become Dharma, and some say for the mind to turn toward Dharma. So first we have to be the Dharma, and then that Dharma has to become the path, and that must be free of confusion, and that confusion must become wisdom. So if one follows this order of the path, then that is the unmistaken path to enlightenment, and therefore one should keep that in mind.
다 들에 맞아 진도 어떤 지금 종제 배정에 상만 총용제도 신바제 단 이게 진년티 tin사래 어때네 나제 뒤에서 중미 초지지 스타가 튜닝마 나자선 튜닝마로 중미 초지지 감보바에 잠조 책시에 식사 자고는 뭐지 송샤래 잠조 책시보네 반대 파모트에 초지지 스방대 파모트에 초지자로 세지토 지견송 세지토 모든 지견송 오버레스 로웬고 뭐 나만 되고는 지연시 공는 지연진다 난 지견송 뭐지 이거로 시에는 정말 늦으시고 늦으다고 주어서 다 시에는 좀 참 늦으다고 주는데 로컬 방식 그게 나와 있어 로컬서 좀 탐지봐 좀도야 로컬서 좀도 알아봐 대방한데 그게 나와 있어 라마 담배 좀 알아보시죠 라마 담배 좀 알아보지 라마కి 라마 맞어 저봐 맞어 봐 라마 maybe 变的基本就是라마 maybe 它变的这就嘛的인더스트 또 라마కి 주부 라마కి 주와 그게 통되라 리덴 남지 가는 거 싶어 내가 주와 그걸 래 마녀로시스 대톱 개와 재미 강의 봐 재미 초제 공부 네톱 쇼스다
And then there is some small print at the end, and that small print was not written by Chitin Sumgun, but so it says then here in the final 500 years in the degenerate age, these 4 dharmas, as taught by the Dharma Lord Gampopa, and transmitted through the Dharma Lord, the glorious Pamodrupa, and his heart son, Lord Chigden Sumgun, will become a nectar like blessing or kind of benefit for all those who hear it. That's the whole first thing, and then it has been taken out. Just go into the beacon. Sorry. Yeah. So this text is unaltered as it is, without exaggerating or so without adding anything to it or omitting anything from it. It has been kept as it is, respectfully, as the words of the precious Guru. And this text should only be transmitted to one's own disciples. It should not be given to a lama-less disciple, also a disciple without a lama, or basically one without faith. And so then I ask that those of the noble lineage will listen to the meaning of what I have just shared, and by whatever merit I have gained by writing this down, may all beings attain the supreme state of enlightenment. So that completes the text on the four Dharmas of Gampopa, and we will take a 15-minute break, and when we come back, you can ask questions.